just parallel, maybe slightly wider than hip width apart, maybe the outside edge of your hips. And we're just going to take one shoulder. Just think about that shoulder going all the way round in a nice big circle, as big a circle as you can with that shoulder joint, going backwards. Thinking about keeping your pelvis, your hips facing forwards and keeping quite still. And then let's place the hands on the shoulder and circle the whole elbow. So you're going all the way back, and now I'm allowing my rib cage and upper body to rotate a little bit, but I'm still keeping my hips facing forwards. And then I'm just going to come forwards a little bit as I'm going to hit the wall. I'm going up and back. Again with that same arm, I've got my other hand just touching my belly button, and I'm just noticing that as I'm doing this, in order to be able to take that whole arm up and back, I'm now allowing my hips and my ankles, I'll come back a little bit more, slightly bend my arm, ankles are rotating a bit as well. So let's keep that straight arm, that whole arm, and do the same thing but coming forwards. Allowing shoulders to open up, allowing hips and ankles to go with it as well. And that should feel all quite nice and warm, and maybe a little bit lopsided because we've only worked the one side. So let's do the other side. So just the shoulder on its own. Imagine there's a sticker at your shoulder socket, and that sticker, if you could see it in the mirror, would be drawing the biggest circle possible all the way around. And nice breathing and standing up tall. Let's place the hand on the shoulder. Other hand just lightly placed in the tummy. Just noticing in the mirror, I've got a little stain on this top, which is lovely. So we're there. And then I'm going to step forward a little bit, so the whole arm now. Placing the other hand on the tummy, just helping me to realise and notice how that rotation is happening. And I'm allowing hips and ankles to join in. Feels pretty good today. And it should feel okay as long as you allow that rotation to happen. If you fix the shoulders, especially the shoulder girdle, it will become much tighter. And I'm going to change direction. Same thing, letting that arm hang. So think about, as you're doing this, as you're allowing that rotation to happen, there comes a moment in both directions where your shoulders and everything is square to the front. And it's generally when that arm is up. Yeah, let's leave it at that. So that's going to be handy for the next one. Okay, so I'm going to just turn sideways a little bit. I'm going to keep my feet that same distance apart and just take some big swings. Now I've got rubbish Achilles, so I'm going to allow my heels to come off a little bit. And as I'm swinging my arms back, I'm allowing my body to pitch forwards a little bit. Now this is all square to the front, to your front, as in there's no rotation. Shoulders, hips, knees are over the toes. I'm primarily just trying to get my ankles and my knees warmed up a little bit. I've just changed it into raising my heels and then pulling my toes up. I just felt quite nice. Keeping my spine just in its natural curves. We're going to use this movement quite a lot today in our standing warm-up. So just finding that centre of gravity, getting those feet warmed up a little bit. Okay, so let's come back to bending both knees, but now we're going to, as we bend the legs and bring the arms down, we're going to take one arm in front and one arm behind. So as you do that, you have to open up those shoulders again. So when I get to the side here, both hands are facing the side of the room because I've opened up shoulders, hips and ankle a little bit. And then I'm going there. I'm not being really fixed with, especially on the knee bend, there's probably a little bit of movement from side to side, that's absolutely fine. But the central thing is my spine. That's the wonderful straight line down through the middle. And now I'd like you to bring your arms all the way up to the top. So when we're at the top, both arms are up, your shoulders are now square. Now take your, just think about your rights and your lefts. Don't necessarily think about, because I'm not going to be doing the same as you, I'm going to be doing the opposite as you're looking at me. But think about rights and lefts. I'm going to take my right arm back, bring my left arm forwards, carry on the circle until my arms come back up to the top. And then I'm going to do the other side. Left hand going back, right arm coming forwards. I continue them both going in the opposite direction until we get back to the top. So, and all we're doing is swapping sides each time. When you come up to the top, everything is square, both arms are up. So just turn your shoulders. It doesn't matter which way you're doing first. Swing the circle, keep the circle going in the same direction, come up to the top, pull the other shoulder back, and there. Pull the shoulder back, and there. Pull the shoulder back, and there. Let's try going around 4 times in the same direction. So now I'm going to pull my right shoulder back. You might be on the other side, that's absolutely fine. Both arms at the top, together at the top, pull the right shoulder back again. And one more. Great, I'm going to go the other way. Pull the other arm back. One goes back, one goes forwards. And then they just swap the direction, because from the side, they're continuing their circle. Okay, you may have done this one before. We're going to do some arm swings with the knee bends. And I'm going to talk rights and lefts. In fact, I'm going to face away from you this first time. So we do 3 changes, I think. We do, let's say, left arm forwards, right arm forwards, left arm forwards, is what we've just done. We continue the movement all the way up to the top, pulling that left shoulder back, and then we finish with the left arm forwards again. You with me? So right arm forwards. So we've got swing, 2, 3, we continue the movement up to the top, shoulders are square. I pull my right arm back, that's the arm I'm focusing on, and it finishes forwards. Here we go, one more time each side. With left arm forwards, right arm forwards, left arm forwards, all the way up to the top, pull the left shoulder back, swing through, left arm is forwards. We're going one more time, leading with the right this time. Right arm forwards, left arm forwards, right arm forwards, keep going in the same direction, finish with the right. How's that? I'm going to do one more time each side for luck. I'm going to face this way. So we've got left arm, right arm, left arm, all the way to the top, pull the left arm back, finish it in front. Here we go, last one. Right, left, right, all the way up to the top, pull the right shoulder back and finish there. Hopefully that worked. Hopefully you had room for that as well. Brilliant. Let's warm up the thoracic spine. So just pushing and pulling. Pushing, breathing out as I round the back, bend my knees, tuck the pelvis under, turning my palms up, pinning my elbows back to lift the chest, and as I'm breathing in there. So breath out, breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out, breath in, 2 more, breath out, out through the mouth, in through the nose. Gosh, is it me or is it very hot today? Brilliant, okay. Continuing to mobilise the whole body. So I'm going to stay sideways on. We're going to take a chest and back lift. In order to take my chest lift, I'm going to bring my hands together like this, take them up to the ceiling, and then I'm just going into that slightly exaggerated lean back, lifting my chest. I'm going to release my hands, bring them down by my side, stick my bottom out. As I'm doing that, I'm sliding my hands down my thighs, fingertips are in, elbows are out to the side, I'm unravelling my spine, the head is last, and then I'm pushing a little bit against my legs as I come up, unravelling all the way to the top. Let's do 4 more of those if you're joining in on that one, so or 4 all together. So arms up to the top, lift that chest, keep breathing, bring your arms down down by your sides, stick your bottom out, arch that back. Allow that head to unravel last. Round your back to lift. It's a back lift to finish, chest lift to start. Lifting up. Make sure you're not holding your breath. Unravel. If this is all too much, straight off the bat on a Monday evening, maybe keep it all a little bit smaller. You could just go to there. You don't even have to take the arms up. You could just lift the chest, stick the butt out, relax down. It's nice to have your hands on your legs to give yourself that support. I'm going to do one more all the way up and back. Relaxing down and rolling up. So that's everything nice and mobilised, apart from the side seam of the torso. So I'm going to go a little bit, I'm not going to go too wide. I'm going to go sort of shoulder width apart with my feet, keeping them nice and parallel, reaching up, trying to touch the ceiling, lifting the rib cage off of the hips, an equal amount of these, and then let's hold both arms up, stay looking up, pitch that weight forward so that you can just tap both heels. And then we're going to lower the arms, lower the eye line. You've got this wonderful length in the spine, but primarily the main reason for doing that one is to lift the rib cage off of the hips, so that now as I just gently go from side to side, I've got this lovely gap. Breathing. And we're going to build this up into elbow lead side bends today. Just take any part of it out if you don't like it, but if you can. So the whole point of this is that we're taking this underneath shoulder all the way down to one side and over, so that I've cleared this shoulder. So then I can lift my elbow. That's where the elbow lead side bend comes in. So I'm really getting a nice stretch down this side seam. I'm going to lengthen that arm straight up to the ceiling and then come upright. So just if I face you a moment, maybe go back a little bit. So I'm going over to the other side now. I'm lifting my elbow, this is my not so great shoulder, but lifting that elbow up as high as I can so it's really above my shoulder, and then when I straighten, this arm is going straight up to the ceiling. Head is nice and relaxed and curved, and then I'm coming up to the top. Let's go again to the first side. So up and over, elbow, straight arm. So straight up to the ceiling. Now just let it curve. Let it continue that curve in that upper body and that the angle of your head. And then coming up over to the other side. Remember to keep that spine lengthened. Elbow lead, hand is just nice and relaxed. Straight arm, straight line. And then let it curve across. Just taking that arm from vertical across there should give you a little bit more stretch. We're going to add on over to the side. Elbow, straight arm, stretch the arm across. I'm going to bend my knees and roll down to the floor and let my head and my arms hang in the middle. Just hold it there a moment. Nod your head, relax your head. Try and listen to me rather than looking up at the screen. I'm just hanging there. I'm hanging from my waist. And I'm just going to take a nice deep breath in and try and straighten my legs, keeping my hands where they are, and then soften my knees as I breathe in. No, so try and straighten my legs as I breathe out. That was the one. 2 more times. Breath out as you try and straighten the legs. Breath in as you relax, and just soften the knees. Straighten the legs. Breath out, just easing into that hamstring stretch, and then we're going to roll up the same way we just did. Leading with that upper back, but this time letting the arms hang. If you can remember which side you just did, let's do the other side. So we're up and over. We're going to take those same elbow lead. We're going to take the same hamstring stretches on this side. Straight arm up, arm across. Get that side stretch and bend the knees and relax down. Let the head hang. So if you didn't do it very well last time because you were thinking about what I was asking you to do, try it now. So 3 times, straighten your legs. We're stretching the backs of those legs.
Soften the knees just to release the stretch. And then once you've done those 3, stay there and just straighten one leg, leave the other one bent, and then swap over. So arms are hanging, head is hanging. An equal amount of these, 6 or 8. One leg is straightening, the other one bends. Notice how your hips, if you put your hands on your lower back, you'll feel your hips tipping from side to side. We're going to use this for the last part of the exercise. And then bend your knees equally in the middle and then roll up in the middle.
So if you haven't done the elbow lead side bend before with me, just have a quick look. So I'm going with, and this will be the last set, we're going over to one side, elbow straight arm, stretch that one across. We're going to bend the legs and hang in the middle. Then I'm going to straighten this same side as the arm that I just had up. I'm going to straighten that leg, the other one is bent. I'm going to lift that elbow up to the ceiling. I'm going to turn my head and look up at it, extending that arm up to the ceiling. And then this just feels really nice. You just unravel your spine. It's like you've got a helium balloon in your hand and you're just being unraveled up to the ceiling. So I'm going to go to the other side first, but we'll do that 2 more times. So over to the side, elbow lifts, straight arm, stretching that arm across. Maybe this time push the hips away a little bit. And then bend the knees, relax all the way down. The arm that you had up in the air above your head just now, straighten that same side leg and your hips will be quite twisted. Keep the other knee bent. Lift that elbow up to the ceiling, exactly the same way you did at the beginning. Extend the arm up. Try and look past your hand to the ceiling. Now just relax. That straight, the bent leg will just unravel to straight and your shoulders come back to square at the top. Here we go, one more time. Over to the side. Elbow, straight arm, stretch that arm across, add a little push of the hips all the way to the side. Keep breathing, relax all the way down. Straighten that leg that you of the same side you just had the arm up. Lift the elbow, turn to look at it. Whoops, I've gone the wrong way. Lift the elbow, turn to look at it. Take the arm up to the ceiling and then unraveling. Hopefully you didn't notice I had the wrong leg straight then, but I did manage to correct it. I thought it felt a bit odd. Brilliant, okay, well done. Let's have a little look at some feet, leg strengthening balance work. So I'm going to have my feet more hip width apart now and really nice and parallel. We're going to start with some knee bends as far as you can and then raising the heels up, chest is really upright, and then oopsie, coming up into straight legs and then lowering. 3 more of those if you can. So bending your knees as much as you can with no change in that torso. Raising the heels, straightening the legs, lowering. So making sure that your weight is evenly distributed between your big toe joint, your little toe joint, not allowing those ankles to roll out here. Actually think a little bit more big toe joint. It's like between your big toe and your second toe where your flip-flop goes. 2 more of those I think. Here, that's where I'm thinking of my main line, is coming up all the way straight through my legs to my pubic bone. 1 more in this direction. I'm bending my knees as much as I can. As I said earlier, I've got rubbish Achilles tendon, so this is it for me. It's a really rubbish knee bend. Quite frustrating, but that's my personal restriction. Know your body, know what you can and can't do. So rising up to the top, we're going to reverse the direction now. Bending the knees but keeping those heels up. Pushing the heels down. I'm going to cheat a little bit. So I'm not going to cheat and stick my bottom out in order to put my heels down. I'm just going to leave my heels slightly off just so they get that extra stretch through my Achilles tendon and then straighten my legs. So up to the top, strong ankles, everything in good parallel alignment. Thinking of the spine being lifted all the way through. Tailbone sending down, crown of the head lifting up towards the ceiling. One more of those. To the top, then the knees, push the heels down and straighten. Fantastic. We are going to think about our plumb line. So when we're standing as we are now with the weight even between both feet, that plumb line falls completely between our feet in the middle. We're going to take the plumb, I call this plumb line squares. So I'm actually going to put one hand on my upper chest and one hand just on my tummy. So I'm thinking about that straight line going down to the floor. I'm going to go over to one foot primarily. Both feet are still on the floor, but my plumb line has shifted. And then I'm going to rise up on that side. So I've got the other foot still in contact with the floor, and if you weren't directly opposite me, you'd probably think I have my weight on both feet, but I'm over all the way onto this side. My plumb line is over the ball of that foot. I'm going to bring my plumb line into the centre. Now I'm equally weighted between both feet. I'm going to go over, staying up on the balls of my feet. It's quite strong on the legs and the ankles and the feet. I'm going over to my other leg. Still I've got this foot on the floor, but there's no weight through it, and then I'm going to lower slowly. That heel is down, but I'm over this side and then back to the centre. 3 more. I'm going to change direction each time. That last set, the last 2 sets in each direction, the last set in each direction, I want you to, if you can, lift that other foot practically off the floor. So I'm going over. I'm 97% weighted on this side. I'm going to come in through the middle. I'm equally weighted between both legs. This plumb line is the bit that's my guide. Going over to the other leg for 97%. And then lowering slowly with control, and then back into the centre, both heels down. This time I'm going to try and actually lift that other foot off the floor. I'm just going to hover it by 2 millimetres off the floor. Going back to my first direction, I'm over, my foot is flat for the moment. As I rise up, don't know whether you can see, but I have got that foot off the floor, all the way on one leg, going into the centre, absolutely equal. Over to the other side. Unstick my foot to the mat. This is the hardest bit. Lowering with control. That foot will make contact because it's fine, because otherwise I'd have to tip over too much. Back to the centre. Pretty good. I was quite impressed with myself. One more. Over to this side. Lifting this foot off the floor. Hovering. Especially once you're up into that rise, it's a little bit easier. I'm clear with that foot. Going through the centre. I'm equally weighted between both feet. Over to the other side. Harder on this side. Lowering with control. And back to the centre. Good job if you managed that. So quite a nice way to practice that if you found that really hard. Is just to go to a wall, face a wall, or even the kitchen worktop surface. Just have 2 fingertips of one of each hand, just to give you a little bit of steadiness. And it also helps to just keep your angles all correct. Well done. So that was plumb line squares. Okay, so taking some narrow squats now, and we're going to play about still with the feet and where the plumb line is. So if you imagine what we've just done is we've just taken the plumb line in a square on a sort of sideways plane, if you like. We're now going to think about that plumb line as it goes sort of front to back. So I'm going to just turn sideways. So feet are narrow again, hip width apart, nice and parallel, and I'm just taking a plain old narrow squat. So my weight is in my heels. So I would say maybe that as I'm dropping down, I'm just checking my symmetry forwards in the mirror. That maybe, so when I'm standing, that plumb line falls in between my feet, front to back. In fact, I'm going to put my feet across the edge of my mat, although you can't quite see that. I'll move that back a little bit. So when I'm standing, we're there. I would suggest when I come down into that squat that my plumb line is more here now. It's fallen back below my heels. So it's not on the edge of the mat, it's a couple of inches in and then standing. That's going to be the thing that we're going to explore a little bit. Combined with, obviously, reminding the body how to do a perfect squat. The spine stays in its natural curves, the shoulders are staying rounded. I'm going to go to the side, head stays in its correct position, you're not up here, keep the back of the neck nice and long, arms are just reaching forwards as a counterbalance. Okay, so stay down in the squat if you can. Pitch your weight forwards over the balls of your feet. So you're going to take that plumb line, I would suggest, to the balls of your feet, and you're going to raise your heels and then put the heels down. So feel that plumb line almost swinging forwards and backwards. Again, I think you can quite see my feet. Struggling for space today for some reason. We're there, yeah. So plumb line is in line with my big toes, if you like, big toe joint, and then back on my heels. But nothing else is changing. You can't just throw yourself into this quickly. You have to sort of let that momentum, you have to control it a little bit. In the same way we did with the last one. Good, okay, I'm going to stay forwards. So my heels are raised, I'm lifted my heels, the plumb line is forwards at the front of my feet. I'm going to lift my chest and my back and straighten my legs. So what changed then was the angle at the hips, that sort of fulcrum point, and then I'm lowering my heels. Let's try that again, a few more times. So into the regular squat, butt is back, the weight's in the heels. Lifting those heels, the weight pitches more forwards, but I haven't changed the shape of anything just yet. Now I'm going to lift my back, so those knees go forwards, I'm opening up the angle at the hips, strong work on the old legs, straighten the legs even, heels are already raised, and lower. So 3 more of those. So butt backwards, roll forwards, lift your chest, just opening up this angle essentially. Straightening the legs, opening up that angle completely, lower the heels. 2 more. Raise the heels. Whoop. And lowering, last one. And up to the top. And lowering. Fantastic. Let's try and reverse that. So we're going to go up into the rise. Straight legs. You're going to bend your knees but keep your spine upright. Knees are going over the toes, heels are still off. Now I'm going to try and keep my heels up. Handy little wall here, save me falling over. I'm going to keep my heels up but I'm going to hinge, making this crease even deeper. I'm going to send my bottom back. Then I'm going to push my heels down, which brings my weight back into my heels, brings that plumb line back. And then I'm straightening. This is how I work on the legs. Let's try 4 more of those. To the top, bend the knees. Keep those heels up if you can. Send the bottom back, keep the heels up. Watch that neckline, push the heels down and straighten. 3 more, I do believe. Send your bottom back, but don't put those heels down just yet. Then when you put the heels down, feel that shift, and as you straighten your legs, pushing those heels down should make you feel like those buttocks are firing up a little bit. And this is very quaddy, notice, when those knees are forwards. Very strong work on the quads. Not a bad thing to have the strength there, but if you want to work the back line of your body, you need those hips back. I think that was the last one. If not, you got away with an extra one there. Brilliant. Okay, let's take some plies in second. So turning the legs out all the way in the hip socket. So another strong work on the legs, bending the knees are going over the toes, the spine is staying completely upright. If this is your first thing for a few days, it will probably feel a little bit right, so just ease into it. Absolutely make sure your knees are going over your toes. Keep your chest upright. All about stretching, mobilising through the hip joints. It should not hurt your knees. If the knees aren't great, you could bring your feet in a little bit, as long as your knees are going over your toes, and try a little more of a hip hinge, so you're letting that back pitch forward. But try not to. I want you to try and think about the contrast between the two. So I want you to notice what's going on in the hips, feel what's going on, how that, how it's manifesting itself in your body. The spine is staying upright. We're going to change the position of the legs. We're going to keep the spine absolutely upright. So now my feet are facing forwards, my insteps are parallel, and now I'm hinging forwards into a wide leg hip hinge. Nothing has changed in my spine. It's just the position of the legs and what happens as a result of that position, if you like. So the hips is still, the hinge is still happening at the hips. There's no change in the spine, but it's a completely different feeling. So the last one was very much, the plie in second is very much stretching the groin. This is very much stretching the backs of the legs, pitching all the way forward. Good, so if you can, let's take one of each. So turn the legs out, either by taking your toes out or pushing your heels forwards. Stay really upright. Think of that length in the spine from the crown of the head. Bring the legs to parallel. Pitch forwards. Lengthen the spine, exactly the same. Gravity will also have an effect on how strong this feels. That's why this feels so much stronger, because you've pitched your upper body forwards. One more of each. Plie and pitch forwards. Great job. Stay here if you can. Arms are out to the side, parallel to the floor. We're going to bend the knees. Knees are going out towards the toes, towards my little toes. I'm actively pushing them out. And your goal is to lift and lower your body as one unit. If I just go around to the side. So I was here. Here's my flat back, if you like, but your back's not flat, it's in its natural curves. I'm bending my knees. I'm taking my hips and my shoulders down at the same time. Good. So it's not that. That would be just the hips. It's everything lifting and lowering at the same time. If you can, this is strong work on the hips. We're going to keep those legs bent, and you're just going to take a little transference of weight from side to side. Great job. If you can, from there, let's move it on a little bit. I'm taking my feet further apart, almost the length of my yoga mat. I'm turning my toes out more. I'm letting my knees go over my toes. I've got my weight through my hands. My hands are underneath my shoulders. I'm straightening one leg and bending the other, trying to keep those hips low as I go from side to side. Think about what's happening at your ankle. You might find that that outside edge of your foot rolls in. Try and see if you can get the ankle to be nice and mobile as well. This is all about just exploring where you are. If that was comfortable for you, take the arms away, lift the chest. It's much stronger now. Maybe stay over to one side. Maybe just move around within that. This is very strong. You might want to try this with the hands down to the floor. You might want to try it hanging onto a chair another time. It's absolutely fine. Make sure you're breathing. Great, I'm going to turn all the way around to one side. So my legs are wide enough that this front knee is above the ankle, and I'm already there. And as it's Monday, and as we're stretching, I'm just going to carry on moving through this. Sometimes I'm putting my knee down, Sometimes I'm keeping my knee off. I'm alternating, bending the front leg, bending the back leg. I'm going to keep that back knee down, relaxing the foot. Take the hand onto the floor. I'm going to lift my arm up to the ceiling. So you'll be facing away from me now. Probably, that's absolutely fine. Try and just touch the ceiling and then come through. Take that elbow of that same arm down towards the floor and see if you can stretch across. And then open out and then come through. If you can, do 2 more for me. Curl that back foot under, straighten that leg. Same thing. Lift up, open out. Bring that elbow through, slight threading the needle. We're up to the top. And we're threading through. Fantastic. I'm going to twiddle round to the other side. Adjust everything. Do what you need to do. Keep the weight through the hands. Even as you're doing this, get those fingers and thumbs spread. Try not to be up here. Try not to be doing weird things on your fingers. Get to the other side. Hopefully you'll be roughly in the correct position already. Just rocking, moving backwards and forwards. Sometimes putting the knee down, sometimes having it off the floor. When I straighten that front leg, I tend to bring my toes up towards me, so I'm getting an extra stretch in the calf. Taking the rotation on the other side. So a knee down to start with. Drive those hips forwards. The hand is underneath your shoulder. You're going to lift that arm up to the ceiling. So this, at the moment, I'm just going in a straight line up to the ceiling. But as I warm up in this, I'm going to try and open out a little bit more. Then bring that elbow down towards the floor and stretch through. And up. Feel like you're lifting out of the floor, especially on this supporting shoulder. Threading through. 2 more if you can, with that back knee off. Now I can really feel it all the way through. Outside hips, lower back, both sides actually. Quite nice if you like that sort of thing. Brilliant. Okay, we're going to go down to the floor after this.